Hi there. People always ask me, how did I get into tarot reading? And I'm going to tell you. My name is Gypsy Spirit, and I've been a tarot reader ever since 2011. But I will tell you, I come from a very strong Christian background. Yeah. Hard to believe, right? I was married to a gentleman for over 10 years, 13 years. Well, if you ask me, I say 13, but according to him, it was 14. But anyway, I used to have these wild dreams just before he and I split up. And I'll tell you about those dreams in another video because I love to interpret dreams. But I used to look at this man sitting on the couch, and he and I, we went to church. I met him in church. We went to church every time the church doors were open. We were very, very committed to each other. And I knew when my marriage was over, the day that I started seeing things in a different light. It's like my third eye was beginning to open. And I remember I had a little vintage clothing store at the time, and we owned a house and everything. Well, we had a mortgage. And he was grilling outside on the back porch, and I went to him and I said, I have a question to ask you. He's like, okay. I said, let's just say that there is a couple, they live in Iraq or Iran. They're Muslim. Yeah, they live in the Middle East. And they have a business. They have a mortgage like you and I. They have a family they're taking care of. They're really good people. They don't do anything to hurt anyone. And you're going to tell me that they're going to go to hell because they don't believe in Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior? And his response was, yes, they are going directly to hell because they do not believe in Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. That was the day, the very moment that I knew my marriage was over. It was over because we were no longer on the same wave. And I remember shortly after that, I used to look at him sitting on the couch watching TV, and I would think to myself, I know that I'm supposed to be doing something different with my life. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it does not include that man. And it wasn't long after that I left. And I went to stay with a customer, actually, that had frequented my vintage clothing store. She and I got to be friends, and she had a nice home, and she allowed me to come stay with her until I could figure out what I was going to do. And in that time, I was tangled up with a guy living up in Asheville. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. So it was only a 4-hour drive between Asheville and Charleston. And I don't know, I guess the best way to describe this guy was, he was like a clone of Charles Manson. He's crazy as fuck. But I was all into him. That's how crazy I was at the time. Coming out of that crazy marriage. But anyway, I went up there in Asheville, and there was a lady. I was up visiting that guy, and there was a lady that I had met, and she was in a coffee shop, and we had met through Facebook, and we agreed to meet at this coffee shop, and we were talking, and she started telling me things about this guy that I was seeing up in Asheville, and she was pretty spot on with a lot of things, and then she said to me, I'm coming to Charleston in about 2 weeks, and I would like to do a crystal reading on you. And I thought, okay, she had me, intrigued. I was like, okay, what is that? What is a crystal reading? What does that entail? And she explained that she puts all these crystals all over my body and, let spirits talk to me. And I'm thinking, okay. And you have to remember, I was just coming out of, the Christian world. So that to me was just like, crazy. And I remember thinking, oh, this lady has fucking rocks falling out of her head and she wants to put them on my body. Okay. But I was intrigued, and we, shared phone numbers and everything. And so I went back to Charleston, and a week later, it was about, on a Friday afternoon, I was getting dressed. There was a pool in the backyard, so it's about midday, and I was getting dressed, and I heard this voice, very loud and clear, say to me, "You're getting ready to go on a spiritual journey." And I thought that was God telling me that I was getting ready to die. Yeah. And so I laid across the bed and I began to cry, and I said, "I'm not ready to die yet. I have children still, young children." And I heard the voice again say, "You're getting ready to go on a spiritual journey." But this time there was this just overwhelming peace that came over me. I can't explain it. And so I went on about my day, and at 2 o'clock the next morning, I was rushed to the emergency room to have emergency surgery. And I thought, oh, this is it. Well, needless to say, I didn't die. I just needed to have my gallbladder removed. I had been having a lot of trouble, but it just really caught up to me that night at 2 a.m. So I, went through the surgery, and a couple of days later I was released from the hospital. And a week later, exactly 2 weeks from the day the lady told me she was coming to Charleston, I got a phone call from her. And she said, "Hey, it's me, and I want to come and do this. I want you to come to me, and I'm going to give you this reading." I was like, okay. So I went, and I walked into it was a townhouse that she was staying at, and I walked into this room, and it had all these crystals all in a oval circle, like thousands and thousands of crystals and stones, and it was just loads of them. And she had a palette in the center of the circle, and she said that she wanted me to straddle the circle of stones and pick up the ones that I felt most connected to. So I was like, okay, all right. And then she said, "Do you wear turbans?" I was like, no. And at this time I had a head full of hair, and I was like, no. She said, "Well, I just had a vision of you wearing turbans, reading tea leaves." And I thought, oh God, why am I even here? This woman is really nuts. I said, "No, I don't wear turbans. Every once in a while I will wear a hat." Well, guess what? Turbans. I lost all my hair, so now I wear turbans. Anyway, and I do read tea leaves. So she told me, she had me lay on the pallet, and she said, "Now, I don't speak unless Spirit tells me to speak." And I thought to myself, okay, whoever Spirit is, I'm just here for the ride. And she began to put these crystals and stones on me, and the first thing she put on me was an amethyst right here on my third eye. And my eyes are closed, and I'm just letting her do her thing on me. And immediately, the moment she put that amethyst on my third eye, Spirit started speaking. And I had visions, and I saw this huge purple full moon, and there was a witch flying across. How you see in the Disney movies the silhouette of a witch or something flying over the full moon. That's what I was seeing, only the moon was purple. And I mean, of course, the witch, she had on the witch's garb, the pointed hat, the broom, and all the black clothing. And I heard this voice, I guess it was spirit, say to me, "That's what you are, but that's not what you are. That's how society sees you. You are a healer. You came to this planet to help people and to help heal people. And you haven't been doing that." And I began to cry because I remembered the times that I would look at my husband and think, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, but whatever it is, it does not include that man. And I began to cry, and I opened my eyes, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then she began to start telling me about witches, the history of witches, how they came about, and why they were persecuted like they were, and so on. And I remember thinking to myself, well, evidently Spirit must have told her to speak. And how does she know what Spirit was telling me? Because I didn't say anything to her. And so I was like wowed at that moment. So I closed my eyes again and kind of went back into another place like I had been before. And I was told that I had been hiding behind Christianity, hiding behind my husband. And the crazy guy in Asheville was pulling me away from all of that, helping to pull me away from that. And that the reason why he kept in contact with me, because we had an on-again, off-again relationship, friendship, whatever you want to call it, because even though it seemed like he was stronger than me, but I was really the one with all the strength, I just didn't know it at the time. So I was really wowed. It was really crazy. And since that time, I actually had 2 more sessions with that lady, and they were extremely powerful. And I learned how to do those same kind of readings, only I modified it to fit what I do. So anyway, my grandmother was a tarot reader. She read from a plain deck of cards. And there was just something after that session, I knew that I was supposed to be reading tarot cards. It's just, I can't explain it. And being a witch, wow, what the fuck was that all about? What is that? Was I supposed to be standing over a cauldron, stirring up, some sort of magic potion, abracadabra, I didn't know. I had no clue. And so I just, I explored a lot of different things. And it was like a month after this session, I was back up in Asheville. I knew that I was supposed to be reading tarot cards. I was scared. I was scared because of what I'd been conditioned to from the church. And while I was up in Asheville, the lady that I had been staying with, she and I took a trip up to Asheville. And we walked into a shop, and there was a woman there reading tarot cards. And I remember walking over to her, and I told her, I said, I feel like I'm supposed to be reading tarot cards. I'm really scared. And she looked at me kind of funny, and she picked up a card, and she said, "This is just a tool. It's just a piece of paper. That's all." And it was right at that moment, the light bulb went off. Ding, 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 ding. And so I went back home to Charleston. I went into Barnes & Noble's, and I bought a tarot deck. And I kind of used that for a little bit, a couple of months. And then one day, I was in this at a metaphysical store in Summerville, South Carolina, and I found the deck. It spoke to me, and we made a connection, and I've been reading from that deck ever since. So yeah, I've been reading since 2011, and it's been an amazing ride. I've helped a lot of people. I've seen broken people come to me that have been heartbroken and so devastated over some of the events that have taken place in their life, and I've been able to help them, and it's been great. I don't remember anything that is said to me in the readings. It's the way that it was explained to me and how I understand it. It's the person that I'm reading for, their higher divine has information for them. The higher divine is Source. She has a blueprint to your life, and the message that I'm getting from my client's higher divine, I'm just shooting it back out to my client, and then I don't ever remember that session. I'm not supposed to remember because it's none of my business. So I get people that will call me several months later, even a year later, and they'll tell me everything you told me was spot on, and I'm like, I'm really sorry, but I don't remember what I told you. So yeah, if you are having some questions and needing answers, or you're at a crossroad in your life and just need some direction, hit me up. Visit my website, and right now I'm offering a 15-minute reading, mini reading, for only $11.11. Go check it out. Get to know me a little bit and connect with me. Let me connect with your higher divine to help you out. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.